Hey everyone, what's up? Today we have SPL predictions for week 2. So the prediction sheet isn't up quite yet, and last week I never even got around to posting my predictions, but I figured this week I would, but I didn't really feel like typing, so I've already been sitting on my computer typing all day, and I'm probably going to be recording some other videos tonight as well, so I figured I'd go through the games, give my predictions, and then I'll just rewatch my video or just do it off memory and then post it in the sheet that QQ makes later. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the first series is the Ruiners versus the Tyrants. If my memory serves me correctly, I think both of these teams emerged. No. The Ruiners emerged victorious last week, whereas the Tyrants unfortunately fell in a closer series with the Tigers, whereas the Ruiners beat the Sharks. I think the Ruiners beat the Sharks. I think that was like 7-5. It was close, but then Fom won one RBY, Lavos won GSC, and what's his name? The baton passer, Eden's Embrace. I was gonna Sonny Oras. That's what his initial name was. Won ADV and Jimmy Turner. I think they pretty much swept them. Maybe they made it from like 4-4 to 8-4, whatever it was. They had a lot of success in RBY through DVP. And well, just all gens in general, with Luigi being their lone loss, although Hai should have probably lost as well in his game, given what I've been told. I didn't quite see that game fully yet myself. But anyway, I'm going through the matchups. Two pretty intriguing SM games. The first one being the more interesting and probably higher level of the two in Empo versus Poek. Empo had an impressive week 1 win against a strong opponent in Tamahome. I personally had him losing that game, and I actually think he was ranked a bit highly in the power rankings. He was ranked 5th or 6th. I had him closer to like 9th or 10th. But that was a nice showing there. So maybe he's going to live up to that rank. And Poek had kind of a non-showing. He lost Eternal Spirit, but it was only because he didn't bring a Volcarona counter, and he just got 6-0'd by Metronome Volcarona, which is a cool bring by Eternal Spirit, of course. But yeah, no, can't really pass much judgment there. I'm actually going to favor Poek to win this game, if only because I think that he's a bit more of a capable risk taker. So if the situation in the game is not in his favor initially, I think he's got more of an ability to claw back than Empo. I think they're pretty close in terms of overall playing skill, but between the two, I think Pollock has more positive experience in team tour settings and whatnot. And I also think that despite them being similarly more offensive-ish players in general, Pollock has a bit more of a versatile background. He's played metagames like RBY, for example, and he's also used bulkier teams like that team earlier in SM. I think it was a TDK team with like the Zapdos, Scizor, that Mew bulky team. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, but like that team, he's one of the guys that used that a lot. But anyway, Poet just has a lot of experience, and I think that and just kind of his unpredictability versus Poet's perhaps relative predictability. He uses a lot of like AV Magirna, kind of Kartana, Megalopony, Rotom Wash, sort of momentum-oriented, bulky offensive teams. I think that will sway the match ultimately in the favor of Poek, especially when they're looking to kind of get some wins in SMLU after they struggled there last week. So first game I'll give to the Tyrants, but it's going to be close. I'd say like 55-45 in favor of Poek. Next game is I'm So Sorry, LOL against Mana. These two pretty much had the same exact thing happen in week 1. They both coming off a while of not being in tournaments. Sorry's last World League tournament, I think, was SmackDown Snake Draft, the one where he went like 1-5, and his only win was like when he was substituted into an NU for fuck's sake. So like that's kind of a non-thing. Besides the only like individual experience, like a couple of LTs and a lot of ladder and smaller tour experience. Whereas on the other hand, also sorry, I had that good run in OST. I forgot to mention that, of course. On the other hand, Mana has had some team tournament success, such as in the aforementioned tournament of SmackDown Snake Draft 1, and he even won 1-0 in World Cup, if I recall correctly. But he is kind of a bit hesitant to really have desires to put himself out there and play. And I think sometimes that characteristic makes me a bit hesitant on him as a player. How strong-willed is he? Is he willing to pull triggers? How aggressive can he be? But sometimes teams don't really mandate that type of playing at the same time. But if you look at his week 1 team, I don't know if it was like a weird kind of jank build, but I wasn't a fan of it. It seemed really weak to a number of things I outlined in my narration. One of them being Tapu Lele, which happened to really dig a hole for him. And I think also he just didn't take time. He did use a cool toxic set, Z Liquidation, but it ultimately was not enough to claw back into the game, especially with this sloppy and potentially rushed. I don't know if rushed is the right word per se, but rushed is what I'm going to go with. Play. Sorry, on the other hand, had a pretty similar situation. Him against tricking was just a bizarre game. It was really just a game that I did not want to see, and I unfortunately narrated. I think I narrated these games back to back. Actually, both were pretty horrible. Yeah, Sari just kind of rushed through the game and came up shorthanded. Now, I think that Sari has a really dangerously high ceiling. Like, there have been days when I played him in like a dozen test games, and he's taken like 8 or 9 of them, honestly. That's happened once or twice. And I think that Sari can do really well. But on the other hand, he hasn't really shown that yet, and Mana at least has shown that in a number of tournaments, but most notably Smog on State Draft 1. And I think that he now already maybe has his feet wet again. He's going to kind of return to old form. So I'm going to favor Mana, but I think it's going to be close. But anyway, surprisingly enough, I'm going to be giving the Tyrants a 2-0 in SMOU lead. And however, for the Runers, all hope is not lost, as I am predicting Pearl to win UU. I don't really want to talk about Christo. I wouldn't have nice things to say, if I want to be honest. He shouldn't be starting in this tournament, given his sign-up post and the fact that 2 tournament directors bought him and then started him. It annoys me, but I really like Hog, and I don't really have an issue with Ray, so I'm not going to comment more on that. So it is what it is. And I also think that one of the lines he said in his Week 1 match to his opponent was just downright disrespectful, and I don't really approve of being that way in the battle chat. So, whatever. He's definitely a good player, but in fact, I think he's probably the third best player in this UU pool. I think he's really good, but not rooting for him personally. Full disclosure, being honest. And hey, I'm sure he'll do well, but as you see, Week 1, he did well. But Pearl, on the other hand, is one of the best players, and he's coming off of a rough Week 1, and I think he's likely to bounce back. So I'm going to favor Pearl here. He's got a really methodical play style and a great take on UU team building. I think he's one of the best minds for the metagame and just minds of lower tier players in general, as shown by his Grand Slam win. So I'm going to predict him to win, and it'll be 1-2. Now, I'm in favor of the Tyrant still, of course, and unfortunately for the Runers, going back to the Tyrants, I'm going to predict AIM to beat Redemption. I'm not really going to say a ton on this tier, if only because I'm only getting into RU now. I'm not really as into it as I am, say, UU, OU, NU, etc. But I think AIM is just a more fundamentally strong player. He's a pretty dynamic player, and I think Redemption, just one of the weaker players in RU field, maybe a bit inexperienced. I think he shows potential to be strong, but I think he's not quite there yet, and that makes me hesitant to pick him over more of a veteran player like AIM, even if AIM does have inherent inconsistencies. He's not going to have another flop of an SPL, I feel. So 3-1 Tyrants. Lax against Ice-T, really close game here in NU. Nice showing from ICT in Week 1 to kind of get his feet wet after the ban that he suffered for some interesting behavior. But he's actually been behaving pretty well since he's gotten back, so props to him for that. I'm not obviously his biggest fan behavior-wise, but I think he's a cool guy when he wants to be, so that's cool. But anyway, he used a nice team and he played well Week 1, so good for him. On the other hand, Lax beat Tede in kind of a sloppy game. He used a really risky team, but it worked out, so that's good for him. I think Lax is a great grasp on calculated risks, and especially in a metagame like NU where he knows it quite well. And I think this, coupled with his longtime success and just his ability to take risks when pushed to the wall, makes me favor him against Ice-T. But I think this game is close. I think this is like a 51-49 type matchup. I think Ice-T is kind of a low-key pick to be a dark horse top NU player. I mean, after Week 1, he beat Osh, so that's a good start. But yeah, Lax's win against Tede is similarly impressive, and I think that he's just was the stronger playing them in, so I'm going to favor him. So 3-2 in favor of the Tyrants now. Now we've got Proven against M. Forbes. I think that's how you pronounce it. I basically don't really ever say his name out loud, so I don't talk much about doubles. Just going to favor the latter here, the Tyrants and Forbes, if only because he seems like a really strong player. A lot of people are saying that he was the best or second best behind Edu in the field, and I don't doubt that. I've heard only good things. And Proven is definitely an up-and-coming prospect still. I mean, he's been around, but I feel like every year he gets a bit better, and he claws back into it just a little more. And I think maybe this is the year he goes positive, especially after a strong Week 1 defeating Sharks player Fesby. But I don't think he's quite on par with his opponent here. So 4-2 Tyrants through the SM tiers. And now we have High against Blunder. See, I feel like this is the type of game that Blunder loses. This is not a shot at him. I feel like after Smog Tour, High versus Blunder just feels like a match where I kind of have to pick High just because, he kind of has Blunder's number in this weird sense. Just something's going to go wrong for Blunder. And then all this shit's just going to go down, right? But, in terms of, who I think is going to win, if I'm looking at both players, I think Blunder is a tad stronger of a player. I definitely think Blunder, See, both of these guys are really good at pulling triggers and when pushed against a wall, making the play that they need to get back into a game. But I think Blunder's just a bit more aggressive in doing so, and also I think his team choices. Well, I don't trust him as a builder individually. Maybe he does build more than I give him credit for. I don't know. I've never really had a team with Blunder, unfortunately. But I think that his team choices overall, be it him building or someone else building, I think they're actually pretty solid. Whereas High, I think he just kind of either recycles old solid shit from other people or just uses what he's given. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I'm not sure if they really have the mind to outgame Blunder on that front on the Ruiners roster. So therefore, I'm actually favor Blunder, despite my gut telling me High is going to win. But yeah, really close game. I feel like this game is a highlight. I really want to see this game. I love watching Blunder play in general. In fact, Blunder is a really cool player. But yeah, this game especially because I also like High and we've teamed with him a couple times before. A really strong player, despite being soft spoken, also a nice dude. So yeah, I'm favoring Blunder there, and I think that makes it 5-2 in favor of the Tyrants. Now we've got Luigi against We Three Kings, and I actually really want to pick the upset with Luigi here because I think that a lot of people are kind of counting him out before giving sufficient credit. I actually think he's a solid pilot of teams. I don't know if he builds or not, but strong player. I've seen him play some really nice, complex end games and Smogon tours that I've watched before. I mean, there's just been a game or two. I'm like, wow, Luigi really pulled this game out. But at the same time, he did not win against Pasho. There was some unfortunate shit with Thunder and whatnot in that game. I don't really recall the specifics quite yet, but I don't think it was really a horrible showing, but it definitely wasn't an ideal start for the Brazilian tournament director. Where on the other hand, We Three Kings, despite being kind of underperformance due to activity risk, I guess that's what I'd call him after the World Cup. He's been really active and playing well lately. Well, just in that one game sample size, he played well against Dice. Now, I actually talked to him a little bit afterwards, and I think his team was really cool, especially with that Rio Nicholas. So, on a conceptual level, I think he has a great understanding of the tier and how to build and how to kind of give himself an initial advantage. And on a playing level, I think that they're close, but I think We Three Kings just has more experience in like SPL X tournaments, so I'm just going to favor him outright. I think it's like 55-45, 60-40, but yeah, I would not be surprised if Luigi pulled together a win here. I think he's going to win some games if they keep him in eventually. I think he's solid. I don't think he's like top half of this field, but I definitely think he's solid. So yeah, definitely wouldn't be discouraged there if I was the Ruiners. But the Tyrants, while he did get lucky against Dice, of course, they should be happy with what they're seeing. And I'm going to 6-2 in favor of the Tyrants at this point. Now, here's where it flips about a bit. The bottom four generations. Jimmy Churchwick against Guy to Gengar. Jimmy Churchwick's the favorite, hands down. I mean, Gary lost to Ace Matador in 2019. I'm not really going to say much more, but if you do want to know more, there's some pretty funny ladder logs of Gary over the past couple months. So leave it at that, I suppose. But Jimmy played a nice game against Toph. He did get a bit fortunate, but I don't think it mattered at that point. It just kind of widened the gap. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, though, because I very well could be. I just kind of skimmed through that game because it was a hectic time of the day for me. But Jimmy's just a solid player, a solid pot. I think he's finally going to kind of break his streak of meh in tournament performances. I just think Jimmy's really solid, and he's been showing individuals. Now I think he's going to show on the team tour. So hey, really love Jimmy as a player, though. I think he's going to do well here. So yeah, 3-6. Eden's Embrace versus Gilbert Arenas. Two players ranking at the bottom of the power rankings, one of which had a triumphant victory with the aid of some fancy baton pass semi team, sort of weird stuff. I don't know how to explain it. Like semi chain, like partial chain, whatever it was. It wasn't a full chain, no. From Eden's Embrace anyway. And Gilbert Arenas just kind of had a disappointing, deflating loss. Bit of an unfortunate start with missing Wolbus plus Snorlax, but ultimately his team was just really weak to Trapper plus Lax. I think it was Magneton plus Lax. Yeah, like Ladle was his immediate follow-up after he got his Garmery trapped, so I guess that you could say that was pretty disappointing. His team choice seemed to be a bit risky, and I don't know enough about ADV to really judge, but I mean, if you're looking at this in terms of raw, like who looked better week one, it was definitely Eden's Embrace. And I think both these guys are actually pretty solid. I think Marco P is a great player, but I think Eden's Embrace is also a good player. And just given what looked like week one, and I guess the element of momentum, and the fact that Marco P doesn't have that first official win yet, and he could be getting a bit nervous, I'm going to be favoring Eden's Embrace here. But I think this game is really close. It's like a 51-49 type game, and I'd love to see my boy Marco P win. So I'm rooting for you, bud, but I'm predicting Eden's Embrace, and that'll make it 6-4. Lavos against Alcata. I think that game's actually tonight. Hell, it might be right now because I have an alert on Discord that I have not checked. So let me open my phone real quick. If it's like a matches And it's happening on Sluggo's. That wouldn't shock me. Because I know he said he was playing right after the thread went out. Oh shit, it's happening right now. Okay, wait, let me open it on my phone. I'll tell you guys what's happening as I speak. Well, looks like Lavos used some form of baton pass, and he's up 6-3. Whereas Sulcata used a Houndoom and a Quagsire. Yeah, wow, it was like Scizor, baton pass with Jolteon and Marowak, and he looks like he's winning this game pretty handily. So I'm predicting Lavos, but I would have predicted him before anyway. But yeah, so Lavos is going to win this game. So it's technically already pretty much 1-0 for the winners, unless I'm misunderstanding this. I think Lavos wins. And look, it's 5-3. That's what I'm going to say. Maybe now the Marowak said his team just crumbles. I don't know. Oh, fucking shit. Lavos disconnected and has 55 seconds to reconnect. Oh, but he just talked in the chat. Maybe he's fine now. Oh, he said, "What the fuck? Can't move." Oh no, this could be bad. Wait, no, can I put this on my screen? Let's see. Oh, hopefully, I can. Oh fuck, you can't see this. Hold up. Can I change my? Fuck. Can I Let me pause. I don't know how Hypercam works, so this isn't great. I should probably know, but anyway, shit. It looks like Lavos is actually struggling against this. I don't know how he beats this. All right. I sorry. I'm just gonna go back. Nope. Nope. No. Oh, this one. Okay. Here we go. Wow, this is really unprofessional of me. Yeah. All right. So anyway, Lavos might lose to this now. I don't know. Shit. Well, I was gonna predict Lavos to win one way or another. Shit. You know what? I'm gonna fucking narrate the rest of my battle with this on the screen and the game on my phone. Oh shit! It looks like the Quagsire went down to a Mega Kick critical hit. Wait, so the Earthquake missed, and then the Earthquake missed, but the Mega Kick missed. Then the Earthquake hit, and the Mega Kick crit, and now the Zapdos is out. Oh no. All right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pause till the end of this game. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. Okay. This is really unprofessional. All right. Well, I'm back. Lavos won. He got a Mega Kick critical hit, and it was 60% accuracy. Earthquake from the Quagsire. It was weird. Man, but the Jolteon ultimately swept after the Quagsire went down with a couple Thunders after a rest sequence. It 1v1 the Zapdos, and then it beat the Sleeping Houndoom. So I guess I'm 1-0 now. I would have predicted Lavos, but I swear on my life I had no idea of knowing. And I mean, it's Lavos versus Salt. So, like, yeah, anyway. So that makes it 5-6, and that brings it down to a friend of Mr. Golem versus Heroic Troller. And I'm a big fan of Troller, so I would predict him to win. He was ranked high, and I think he's got a really good mindset despite having a pretty poor attitude. I think he understands the metagames ins and outs, and I just think he's going to win. I think he'll do better. So yeah, my prediction there. That makes it 7-5 for the Tyrants. I think the Tyrants will beat the Alpha Ruiners to kind of even them both out. Now we've got my team. I'll just say one thing about this. It's that I really didn't want to play Ben Guy, but that's okay. Ben's a really good opponent. It's just like I'd love it if he showed up for a game because I'm busy this weekend, like genuinely busy this weekend, and that's because I'm moving back to school on Monday. So I'm trying to. I gave him all my times and shit, and I really hope that we could have a good game, an actual game, and he shows up and whatnot. Because if not, then that would cause me a lot of like, just kind of like, ugh. 'Cause I don't want to be that guy that posts a long ass activity post, but like, if I have to, I have to. I'll be ready for whatever happens. But anyway, the rest is good. It's a really respectable team. They won week one in a close week against the Bigs. I think they've got a lot of cool players. Mop showed a lot of interesting stuff week one. I really admire what he does as a player. Same with Realistic Waters. Miltank is my friend. And a lot of cool guys across the roster. Rob Jr., obviously, we're boys. Hell, they got a couple of my Snake teammates in Rob and Lopney Kicks. Yeah, that's cool. Just a respectable group, Frenchmen included. And I hope that we have a nice week. Good luck, guys. Yeah, I'm not going to do any of the really predictions for my team. I will put them in the doc, but not here. Anyway, we've got the Bigs against the Stark Sharks. I love my Bigs, but this might be a hard week for them. Looking at the SM games, we got Sidu Mass against Tricking. Actually, Sidu's 0-1, Tricking's 1-0. But I'm going to predict Sidu to even his record out and beat Tricking here. I think he's got a really nice matchup advantage just kind of naturally here. I think he does well against the kind of the cheese bally, rapid fire kind of type of players with his more of calculated, methodical style. I think he's got a really high tolerance for nonsense, and I think I just naturally favor him here. I think they're pretty close in terms of level of play, and one had a pretty mediocre showing week one, and Sidu Master was striking his show was kind of neutral. I mean, he clicked through, but like he did win, so I'll give it to him. But I think Sidu will even it out. I think he's a solid player. Um, Sabella against Tama. I'm going to favor Tama, however. Sabella had a pretty unfortunate showing week one. I did like some of his approach and prep. We were talking. I tested with him a bit, but I think while he's on the right wavelength, he's not all the way there at the moment. He's not necessarily just peak in terms of playing and building. Maybe it's just a lack of kind of on-time support because he's got a European SMOU1, and he's usually on at nights because he's got a job and stuff. So it could be. But anyway, on top of this, Tom Mahomes is a ridiculously hard opponent, and he's 0-1 right now, and I doubt he's going to let himself go 0-2. Tom is just such a strong guy. I really would not want to fight him in a tournament. Someone I have the utmost respect for as a player. Uses pretty solid teams when fed the right teams. I don't know if he's much of a builder per se, but he just plays such a nice game. He's a great pilot, so I have the utmost respect for him, as I said. And I think it's going to be 1-1. They're going to split SM. And then Sage against Lycans. I'm predicting Lycans here. Sage is definitely solid, but I think that she's going to struggle with Lycans, who's got such a nice grasp on how to make aggressive plays and position himself earlier in games. So as long as Lycans uses a solid team, as he does always mention he wants team support, if that is indeed the case, then I think that he will emerge victorious here. I think that's probably a hard match for Sage to come up on, unfortunately. But I think she'll get her footing eventually. Anyway, King Wynot against Ivigaro. King Wynot has a successful snake under his belt, whereas Ivigaro has a nice string of individual success under her belt. The real differentiating factor here is that Ivigaro had a dominating win week one, whereas King Wynot kind of looked a bit lost. And a lot of people are saying King Wynot's going to flop this SPL. And look, I love KW. He did really well in my snake team. But, I mean, I guess this kind of does smell like a sophomore slump to me, too. And that's leading me to my prediction of Ivigaro. But I think that with the support of people like Kushalos and Winsong, it's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities that he brings it back and evens himself out at 1-1 this week. I just don't know if this is necessarily the game, considering that Ivigaro looked pretty strong last week and is riding on some just recent momentum. So that'll make it 3-1 in favor of the Sharks. And the pylon to that, I think Tede will beat Kushalos. Tede had an uncharacteristically questionable performance week one, but I don't see this a way that he starts 0-2. Unfortunately for Kushalos, that means that he will start 0-2. But I think there are brighter days ahead against more middle of the pack opponents. Thankfully for him. I think that Kush just kind of maybe doesn't really look directly ahead of the game and tries to look too far ahead in the game with some plays, and it might cost him, or maybe he isn't really in the right mindset to take some risk where he's in the other risks. And maybe those priorities aren't exactly what I would personally align with or agree with. So maybe that creates some of our differences. But I think Kush is a really respectable player. I just don't know if he's good enough as Teddy. Teddy's probably the best fundamental NU player of the last 4 or 5 years. So he's just phenomenal. I think Teddy's great. And I think that's why he's kind of just going to have an edge here. That was a pretty shitty explanation on my behalf, but that's what it is. Israel against Fespi. I still don't know who Fespi is, and he didn't really give much of an inspiring vibe off last week. So there you go, Biggs. That will make it 2-4 through the SM tiers. X-Ray versus Nain, 3-4. X-Ray is coming off a win, albeit a timer win, but a win last week. And Nain coming off a loss, albeit a kind of robbed game there against High. But I think X-Ray is just a better player, and he wants revenge from last year. Last year, X-Ray kind of had a really shitty match against Nain, and then Nain risked some weird stuff, but it really fucking worked out, and he won on the super lopsided game. I don't think X-Ray is the type of guy to take that shit from a guy twice. I think he's going to come back and put off a strong performance and start off 2-0. So, yeah, let's make that 3-4. However, I think Pasho will beat FLCL. Pasho looked a bit better week one. I mean, there might have been a sloppy player or two, but he brought a solid team, played an overall good game. I think he's just got to keep up with using solid teams. And when surrounded by guys like Tama and M Dragon and the Sharks core top KG conflict. I don't think they're going to let him use anything too nonsensical besides some random berries that conflict enables. So, assuming that he uses something smart, he's going to win. I think FLCL had an okay performance last week, but it was kind of a weird game against Ojama. Definitely a really enjoyable game. But his team structures are kind of predictable. Excadrill, Sand, or just some weird rain offense. Weird or standard rain offense. I don't know why I said weird. Yeah, no, I think Pasha's like 55-45 here. Just kind of a better black-white mind specifically. That'll make it 5-3. But then, I have Soulgazer being Toph. Maybe a bit of an upset. I don't know. Toph did not look amazing last week. And most importantly, he used Celebi. Celebi's not really that bad in DPP, but I just think that it's gross in any tier with Stealth Rocks up. I cannot use Celebi beyond ADV. I fucking sucks in black-white especially. People that try to use it should like not be allowed to play in tournaments anymore. That's my conclusion. But yeah, Soulgazer looked nice despite losing his mind in the latter half of the game. In the early game, he looked nice anyway. And I think with us, good team support, someone like Toph will probably be kind of put down, made into pretty much a science for Soulgazer. He's just a nice, methodical, smart, but yet aggressive player. And I think that SG is just pretty fire. So that'll make it 3-5. And on top of that, I'm going to have I'll make it 4-5. Sorry. Top of that, I'll also have Golden Sun beating KG. Golden Sun looked nice last week. He took down Dexet too. Dexet didn't even look awful himself either. So, I mean, hey, the crust is rising. I mean, KG, there's really easy to dislike that guy. So, I mean, maybe I'm a bit biased, but I like Golden Sun. I think he's a strong player, and I think he's going to use some strong stuff. And KG is going to crumble to that. KG did also lose week 1, although it was some baton best, but he used like some weird steal shit. So, look, I'm not a very smart ADV mind, so hell, I could be ignorant here. Very well could be. Maybe Golden Sun made some mistakes I didn't notice, or KG is still solid. Oh, I'm sure KG is still solid, but I think the Golden Sun's a bit advantaged here. So that'll make it 5-5 going into the last 2 generations. And then we see Valentine in the GSC slot. And we're like, wait, what are the bigs doing? Oh, no. Well, Conflict is 1-1 now, and the bigs are 5-6. Apparently, Coolio can't play this week, and that really sucks for the bigs because they're going to need that GSC win. Especially with this RBY set, the finisher. I actually think Septros is going to come back and win his first SPL series game ever here. Nails didn't look bad last week against Malagos. In fact, there was one game where he looked really dominant, but I think he's kind of inconsistent as a player. It's always kind of been my story of him whenever there's a larger sample size. I think he's got really high highs, but I think that also inconsistent. I think Septros is really motivated, and I've actually seen a lot of good things about him. I think he's underrated. So I think he's going to win, and I think the Sharks will beat the big 7-5 in another nail-biter of a series. And that's unfortunate because I really do love the bigs and my old team. A lot of nice guys. I don't think there's anyone in this roster I really don't like. Yeah, I think it's going to be close, really close. I can see it going either way, but ultimately I favor the Sharks 7-5. As I go down, Raiders, Wolfpack. Oof. You have a repeat of last year's finals, but a lot of new faces on both sides. Starting off with these two, Charm Flash against Brofist. Neither of these guys have been on these teams before. In fact, this is Charm Flash's first ever SPL, and he did win his first game against ABR. Rolling ABR into Brofist. Brofist lost last week to a timeout. He did get a bit unlucky before that. I think that one True Likens had a chance of winning, but it certainly was not in the bag. A lot of people are saying, oh, the Gunk Miss really fucked Brofist over, but like, McGearna kind of did work, but I'm being told that it was CM split McGearna from Brofist, so that could have neutralized that. I think Brofist definitely had a legitimate chance to win that game. I just don't think it was like 100-0, as some people are trying to paint it out to be. But regardless, Brofist is great. Really underrated teammate, actually. I'm not afraid to build, but maybe not the most well-known builder, but he's a phenomenal player, game manager. If he keeps his timer above 5 seconds, I think he'll be fine. I know that was not an actual shot at him. I just think that sometimes he lets the timer get down too low. And I was talking about him last year, and he was on the bigs. It just kind of makes me nervous when someone is that low that consistently. Like, this isn't a shot at him. It's how I feel, honest to God. And I think that Rufus is great, though, and I think he'll beat Charm Flash, who he won. He showed a strong early game, but I think it kind of fell apart later on, and he just kind of held on barely by the skin, his teeth, just because like he had such a big lead early because of his matchup. I think he also used a weird team. Like, it kind of got fucked by a couple things, but hey, it is what it is. Charm Flash isn't really bad in my opinion, but Brofist is fantastic. So I'm going to predict them to win that. Kickasser versus Tala. Wait, didn't these games get switched? Hold up. I think they did. Yeah. See, it's Kickasser versus Brofist. Fuck. Well, I'm predicting Brofist to win either way. That just changes the second game. Yeah, I have Brofist winning. What the fuck's going on with my computer? Just opened. That's what it was. Predicting Brofist win a rematch of World Cup playoffs. Kickasser is great. He's got eyes on him, but Brofist is just a bit better. Better player, and I think the team building is neither of their forte. But Brofist has solid sources of teams, and at least has an knack for building himself if need be. So yeah, it's just 60-40 Brofist. The second game, Tala played against me, and I don't think Tala is okay. And I really like Tala. I think he's a great builder, but I don't think he's the strongest player. I feel like my game was lost mainly to my own mistakes. And in fact, I'm actually going to do a narration of that game, a post narration of that game at some point, because I was dishing out a lot of heat to other players and their mistakes, but I think it wouldn't be fair if I didn't do the same to mine. And I think I made a lot of mistakes in that game, and Tala just simply played a straightforward game. And sometimes that's all you need to do, because opponents make mistakes. You have team matchup. He didn't have team matchup there, but I'm saying like sometimes you have the matchup, so you don't make mistakes, you win the game. Sometimes your opponent makes mistakes, you don't, so you win the game. Sometimes you don't really need to make all these flashy outplays to win. And that was the case there. And I don't think Tala is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I think against Charm Flash, he's kind of going to be put in a weird corner because he doesn't know what to really expect. So I think a lot of this is going to come down to the team matchup. And somehow Charm Flash was able to spin that in his favor against ABR. So I guess I'm just kind of going with my gut there, predicting him to beat Tala. I would predict him to lose against Brofist, as I outlined literally before by accident. But I think that Charm Flash is going to be 2-0 to start. And I think that the OU is a split. Bugsnader against Pack. Wow. Pack played a really bizarrely good game week one. There were some angles that he took with his Dragon that just no one considered, and some things that he tried to force, and it was just really nice. I think Pack is such a complete player. I think that he is what you want to be as a UU player right now. But Bugsy is not far from it. And he also has a lot more team support. And I think that Bugsy himself is also kind of a mystery to the UU players who apparently will never catch on to the fact that he's really just that good at Pokemon, because they always underrate him and put him lowly. So I'm actually favoring Bugsy to pull the upset here, but I think this game is ridiculously close. I don't think you could really predict Pack to lose against many people in this UU field. I think he's great. So this could go either way, but I'm predicting Bugsy. Maybe it's a gut. RU, I'm probably going to predict the Raiders to lose RU every week. It just is what it is. I like Sainara as a person. I don't think she's a strong RU player. I'm really high on IOU too, especially with the support of Call 49 and even guys like TDK. So, yeah, 3-1 in terms of the Wolfpack's favor. Eternally Meeps. Eternally looked uncharacteristically mediocre week one. I think there was a play. It was like Incineroar. It was against Vikavolt. It was a pivot Incineroar, I think, or maybe it was SD, but it used U-turn. So he could have calced the damage given the damage from Bug Buzz, but either way, it seems really obvious to me that he was going to double out or U-turn depending on whichever he had, just so the Blastoise can come in. And I feel like during Snake, Eternally would have capitalized that and stayed in Bug Buzz and gotten a chip off on the Scarf Togedemaru, which would have been really nice. Or even Incineroar if it was faster and it was pivot Incineroar. But instead he switched out to Passimian, and then whatchamacallit. And then the game just kind of went downhill for Eternally, and the opposing Passimian with Bulk Up just blew it open, and he lost. And that wasn't great. I don't think that was Eternaly's best showing. I don't know if he noticed it was Scarf Togedemaru, or if he thought it would be banned Passimian because of Scarf Togedemaru, but he didn't really capitalize on what knowledge he did have of the opponent's team, and it came to bite him in the butt. And the Z Passimian broke the game open. Anyway, Meeps played a weird game week one. I think he made some nice aggressive plays, maybe one or two plays I disagree with as well. He's a solid team. An awkwardly, methodically aggressive player, if that makes any sense at all. But he also has a high potential to misplay, mistake prone. I favor Eternally here. I think they're both going to end up 1-1 after this week, and I think they both end up around 5-4 in this field. Maybe Meeps 4-5, Eternally 5-4, maybe Eternally 6-3, maybe, but it's hard. But I think Eternaly's going to bounce back here. I really do. No offense, Meeps. I think Meeps is great. Human versus Biosci. Human looked uninspiring last week in his first real DOU SPL game. He's played SPL before, but it was in VGC, so I can't really count that. But anyway, Biosci looked pretty good. He did time out at the end, though. time management is something that's important. But I think that BioSci is going to win here. He's clutch. So that gives them their second win. So 4-2 Wolfpack going into the older generations. And TDK is going to make it 5-2. TDK looked phenomenal yesterday. Brought a cool team. Actually, today, rather. Trosco had a really, really good matchup against my guy, and he just didn't make that many mistakes. I think there were one or two things I disagreed with, but ultimately he did enough to win the game, and he played a solid game, and that's what Trosco does, but you got to go above and beyond to beat someone like TDK, and I just don't favor him to do so. I favor TDK personally. Trosco's good, though. Don't get me wrong. I think he'll do well overall, but I don't think he'll beat TDK, so 5-2. Sergi against Solwind. For some reason, my gut tells me this is like a weird upset game, but everything else, including logic, brain, reasoning, etc., says Solwind's going to win. And I'm definitely siding with that. Should be a lopsided win for Solwind. Solwind is just a phenomenal player overall. He brings strong teams, sometimes even creative teams. I really like that about him. I think Solwind's the most well-rounded black-white player alive right now, and I think that he could outplay anyone on any given day in any tier. While he's not as strong in the newer tiers, I think the black-white's kind of his land, and he's favorable against everyone, and this included. I think this is really like a 65-35 game. Sergi, though, did show some signs of promise last week. Not totally counting him out, but got to favor Solwind here. I predict Solwind to win every time. Deep Blue Sea against Roscoe. Predicting Roscoe to win. Deep Blue Sea was able to click Hydro Pump effectively last week, so that handed him a win. He looked kind of shaky against me in DPP Seasonal, but he's not a bad player. I just think he's a lot dependent on team matchup or positioning earlier and on in the games, which could just be because he's a more modern DPP player. He's never really fully became a DPP player in my eyes in a weird sense, but Roscoe just kind of is. I don't know how to explain, but Roscoe had a dominant victory with a surprising style team week 1. I think he'll now return to his roots and he'll win here, making him 2-0 and the series 6-3. No, 5-4 in favor of the Wolfpack now. And that's going to be 6-4, though, because I have UD beating Jirachi. I think Jirachi is just kind of a pedestrian player in this ADV field. And UD has a lot more of a flashy nature to his game. His building seems to be at least on track for week 1, and I think it will hopefully continue to be so. I just love UD. I'm still kind of salty at Jirachi for dipping on my snake team and running away from Ojama. I love the guy. Jirachi's great, but not the best look there, unfortunately. Fear against Case. I'm predicting Fear to win, but I want Case to win. I love watching both these guys, though. They're both really enjoyable people to watch. Fear has a knack for being really crafty, not only with the teams, like he's used some cool stuff like that 4-Tex Dragonite last year, I guess, but also with his plays, he finds interesting options, sequences that he provokes. I just love Fear. I think he's a great mind for the game. And Case is kind of similar. He's a crafty, creative team builder, but sometimes he might go a bit far. I think his fundamentals are mostly there, but sometimes they get a bit lost in translation to actual gameplay, if that makes sense. And I think that kind of showed against Worms last week, where he did get a bit unfortunate, but also, he just made a few more mistakes piloting his team. And while he did make some nice plays like that Fire Blast prediction, he did also make some mistakes. And I think that Fear is just a bit less mistake prone and a lot more experience. So you got to favor him, but it's going to be close. And I wouldn't be shocked if Case took it. And even if he starts off 0-2, I think that Case is going to have stronger weeks to come. Maybe not week 2. Hell, maybe not week 3 if Donut keeps winning. But down the line, I know Case is going to win some games. I think he's strong enough to compete in this GSC field after seeing what we saw week 1. Case is a solid player. But anyway, so I believe that makes it 7-4. And then in RBY, I don't know. Idiot Ninja looked strong at the start of last year, and since then he's been pretty whatever. He lost both playoff games and week 1. He used Moltres, and then Hitmonlee looked like something out of 2008. Hell, 1998, for all I know. But he did beat me in the RBY Seasonal. So, I want to pick him because he's such a nice dude, and he beat me in a tour. But I think I got to pick Tin, just because I feel like Tin is just a bit better. And he was higher ranked by a significant margin. Hitmonlee was ranked 10th. So, sure, Tin, 8-4, Wolfpack. Wolfpack looking really strong through 2 weeks if my prediction holds true. Proving that Tony is, after all, a mastermind. All right, now we have the Circus Maximus Tigers against the Cryonicals, and oh my god, I love the Cryos logo so much. No. Tigers are 1-0, Cryos are 0-1. I'll go figure. I think a lot of people would predicted the other way around. But anyway, Zachary against BTB, pretty close game. I'm predicting BTB to win, but I think this is as close to a 50-50 game as you get. Zachary's been really strong in SMOU, but last week he did kind of have a couple holes in his team. And I think in general he brings a lot of bulky offense, and I think that the Cryos OU core is able to take advantage of something like that a lot, and BTB especially. And I think BTB is also a nice, methodical kind of player. He pilots teams to success more often than not, and I think you'll find that is indeed the case here. And what I want to emphasize what I mean on that, I mean he doesn't misplay a ton. I think he's less likely to make mistakes than Zachary. And I think that's kind of the decisive factor here. Other than Sam, I'm predicting Eternal Spirit to go fucking 11-0 this season. That guy's a threat right there. I love Eternal Spirit. Gamma is heat. So that'll 1-1 it. Sorry, Laru. I'm just not giving you much of a chance. Gamma is just going to win. This is his SPL. Harris is awesome against Harry Toenail. HT kind of looked like whatever against Bugsy. Bugsy clearly had a step above him the whole game. And unfortunately, the same could be said against Harris, against Christo. So two guys defeated, looking to kind of get on the board. I think that Harris wants it a bit more. It's his first SPL. He's really motivated to get that first win. And he was ranked 10th, and HT usually finds a way to go about even, but I don't know if that's the case in this field. I think Harris is actually going to upset him. I think he's going to not only have a team advantage just naturally, but on top of that, he's just kind of the more active builder, active presence. And I think he's not going to play too poorly this time around. I think he's kind of learned from some mistakes last week. I think he'll bring it back. It'll be 2-1 in favor of the Tigers. Ajna against Pogis. Wow, this is such a delightful game. I'm looking forward to this RU game, and I rarely say that about RU games. So I regard both of these players very highly. I think that Pogis is one of the best overall lower-tier players out there on Smoggin right now. Probably second to Pearl, honestly. And Ajna is the best RU player of the last 2 years, hands down. While both these guys are great, honestly. I'm predicting Pogis to win. Bit of an upset, but I think that he will find a way to have a team advantage. I think he's going to work really hard for this one. I think he wants to 2-0. He wants to stand out in a metagame like RU. No, he's already done it in Ubers, and he's already done it in NU. He wants to spread out to RU now. And that man, if he's determined, he'll make it work more often than not. And Ajna's got a head up, an edge on him in terms of aggressive play. But I don't know if that's really just going to be the type of battle to do that. I think Ajna might actually bring some more softball stuff, something a bit bulkier, and try to maybe have Pogis predicted he's doing something more offensive, and I think that might backfire. I'm not too sure. I can't pin down specifics. Honestly, this game is like a 51-49 type thing in my opinion. Usually I'd pick Ajna, but my gut's saying Pogis, and that's enough to sway me here, so I'm going to go with that 3-1. Now, Ash against Aladdin. Aladdin looked really dominant. Ash actually looked okay playing-wise. I think he was weak to there's some type, if it serves me correctly, of relevance with his team. But Ash played a strong game, actually, hands down to him. He definitely surprised me. Even if he lost, he didn't really misplay much at all. So Ash could win some games in this poll, but I don't know if he's going to start here. Aladdin is a strong opponent. He looked good. He beat Eternally, who's someone I regard very highly. So, yep, 3-2. And then doubles, predicting SMB to beat Bowman because he did in Snake, if I recall correctly. He didn't Snake playoffs anywhere. No, maybe he did. I don't know. Fuck, I don't remember that game. I am so sorry. I think that SMB did win that game. But more importantly, SMB's just looked really strong for the last couple months. And Bowman, he did actually win against Forbes, Forbes last week. That's just great. But he did look kind of off his game in Stake. And I just think SMB is a more consistent option as of late. Perhaps even taking Bowman's King as the consistent man of doubles alongside Edu as of late. Although SMP only really has one team tour worth of success and a lot of individual success. Sorry, I might have just gotten loud in it for a second. Whereas Bowman kind of just had long-term team tour worth of success. Long-term team tour success. But I'm predicting SMB to win. It's going to be really close. So I love both these guys. Really cool players. Bowman's such a nice dude as well. But yeah, I'm predicting SMB to win. Oras versus Oras, Riku. Okay. Against Obi. And I want my man Obi to win so bad. You know what? Fuck it. I'm predicting Obi to win. Obi's heat. That guy's going to make his shit work. No doubt about it. It's just a matter of time. I mean, he's not the best player. He's not the most skilled purchase, but he will find a way to win. I have faith in Obi. Especially with team support. I thought I really liked Leru's team week one. He just didn't pilot it optimally. He's not an ORS player after all. But yeah. Obi's solid. And I think that he will beat Riku, who just kind of looks out of it. No offense to the Tigers. So that gives them 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 4-3? Well, either way, I think it's 4-4 now because I'm having Dice beat ABR. See, this is kind of a toss-up gut pick in my eyes. But the way I see it is that ABR used to use really solid teams early in tour when he talked to me. And I haven't heard anything about ABR's team. Quite frankly, I'm worried that he's gone off the wall with um, some kind of weird shit that Dice might just kind of walk all over as someone who's actual like a black white player. And yeah, like the theory is that mainers don't really matter. And like to an extent that is very much true. But in black white, there's a tier where you kind of have to be fundamentally solid enough with your teaming against and plays against everything and recognizing a lot of stuff. And I just think Dice is like a clear edge up on ABR in the knowledge and experience department in this metagame, in this realm. And Dice is the type of dude that can take advantage of that. He knows what to use and when to use it. He has these ideas, he has these notions, these theories, and he turns them into wins. And he did that so well last year. And I think this is a prime example of doing it again this year against maybe flashier, new gen brought down opponent like ABR, who's got a ridiculously high skill ceiling and potential to be successful. But I think ABR is going to fall out the O2, and Dice is going to get his first win here. Close game, highlight. I'm looking forward to seeing it tomorrow. Really am. I'm actually kind of rooting for ABR. I really love ABR. Good friend of mine. Dice and I are tight too, but I want to see him do well on a tier like Black, White, and SPL because I feel like that'll keep him involved in the tier. And I love seeing guys like ABR come down and being involved with Black, White. I really do. But I think Dice is probably going to win this, honestly. Just my gut feeling, honestly. Where was I? Oh, Ace Matador versus Malekith. Not predicting Ace Matador to win against anyone not named Garrett Gengar in this pool. So Malekith. Malekith did look washed up literally last week, but he'll bring it back. Malekith is a strong player overall. So that makes it 5-4. ZF against Keenan. Well, I don't know why Keenan. This makes okay. He's an ADV. I mean, ZF is gonna win. ZF's just better. Keenan lost to Obliviate in ADV last year. I mean, I get it. People always say he's better at ADV when he loses in GSC, but then he loses in ADV too. So like, he doesn't really have any like really like prolonged results there either. So I don't know what to think. But ZF looks strong week 1. Looks strong World Cup. He's just a strong ADV player. Like nothing else to say. So 5-5, and it comes down to the old gens once more. I'm gonna pick Donut and Alexander to win those. Donut looked good week 1. Lavo seems to always be critical of him in GSC, but I didn't really see any issues week 1. Nor did Worms when I talked to him. And I mean, it seems like he just kind of won a straightforward, close offensive game. It was a bit sloppy, sure, but like he boomed at the right time, so I guess that was what it was. Vil, you don't really know what to expect. And he lost week 1 despite getting some early luck. Although he did I think it evened out a bit later. But yeah, I think Vil always liked ADV a bit more, if my memory serves me correctly. And he also uses weird shit like Gligar Magneton. So I'm favoring Donut to start off 2-0. Then in RBY, Kaz robbed Prolo week 1. He did look fine though, but Alexander's Alexander. Hard to predict against him if you're not playing like Troller against him. So yeah, I'm predicting the series to tie. 2 strong teams in my opinion now. I think the Tigers are underrated. I think the Cryonicles are a bit as well. I think these guys, while they're both not going to be winning this week, I think if I predict them to tie, of course, but especially Cryos because they started off poorly week 1. I think these guys will be contenders later on. The Tigers actually did look strong last week, I must say. So yeah, but I think both these guys are solid and heading in the right direction. But yeah, they're going to tie it this week. And I just talked in a circle and sounded like a big fence-sitting retard. But anyway, these are my predictions. I'll probably post this in the thread, maybe alongside Bold, who knows. But this Finch, peace.